In Mediaite, we get this headline. We all know that. Fox's Brian Kilmeade snaps at brutal Ducey rebuttal to Trump defense he was just protesting the election. So they're going to talk about like all the crimes and the charges that Trump is facing. And it gets a little bit tense because Ducey lays out in a pretty good way, like, well, here's the argument being made by Jack Smith, and I don't know, man, there might be some legitimacy to it. So let's listen.
If you think that it is you think it's a problem, or when you protest an election and you think an election's illegitimate, then you really have a problem with Sherrod Brown of Ohio and Cory Booker of New Jersey, because he said Stacey Abrams is the legitimate governor of Georgia.
What's the difference between this and what Trump did? What's the difference between this and, questioning the 2004 election or questioning the 2000 election? The difference is Trump actually took viable steps to try to overthrow the election. He was involved in the whole fake electors scheme. So it wasn't just like, if he just said the words, like, I think it's an illegitimate election, that's perfectly legal. If he came up with his conspiracy theories, that's perfectly legal. That's not all that he did. There were 60 court cases, which, by the way, he lost. There was the audit in Arizona, which, by the way, he lost. But then there was also these illegitimate moves he took, like trying to push Mike Pence to overturn the election. Like, find me 11,000 votes in Georgia. Apparently, he did a similar thing in Arizona, as the Republican governor Doug Ducey is testifying to. No relation to Steve Ducey here in this clip. So that's the problem. The problem is not that you have an opinion that is, an outsider opinion or is a conspiracy opinion. People have those opinions all the time. The difference is he took steps to try to change the outcome of the election, which borders on illegal, if not outright crossing the line. Let's continue.
Should have a huge problem with Hakeem Jeffries because he says that Donald Trump was not a legitimate winner of the 2016 election. And I don't think Hillary Clinton, outside the consolation call, ever said that Donald Trump legitimately won the election. So the question is, what was done behind the scenes? And we watched those January 6th hearings because we did this show. It was a show. It was not a trial. And you saw this. They are going to assess that he plotted and planned and choreographed the January 6th overturning the election and storming of the Capitol. Right. Even the January 6th committee didn't say that. So Jack Smith, again, has got to say to himself, this is going to be worth it to go ahead and prosecute him on January 6th and Mar-a-Lago. But the other drama took place in Florida, where both sides were saying their case about delaying the Mar-a-Lago documents. In that case, Jack Smith said, I want to see this in December. The defense told Eileen Cannon, appointed by Donald Trump, I don't want to see in September. We're not ready for it. We haven't seen all this documents yet. I'll never be ready for it. So this election's coming up in 2024. Let's do it in November of 2024. That's going to be a key when this stuff is going to be taking place. Because, Alvin Bragg is going to be going in February.
Trump's lawyers are asking for after the election, though.
We now know that apparently the case with Aileen Cannon is going to happen in May. So it's happening before the election. So that's huge news. Huge news. Anyway, so you can see Kilmeade is trying to downplay vis-a-vis the crimes against Trump. Here comes Ducey.
It sounds like, from what we've seen and what lawyers have said to the press behind the scenes and stuff like that, it sounds like it's more than just protesting that he lost the election. It sounds like they've assembled evidence about tactics that the former president used to try to hold on to power after he lost in 2020, assembling slates of so-called fake electors.
As Ducey talks, keep looking at Brian Kilmeade's face. He gets more and more annoyed. And then you'll see at one point he interjects. But you keep looking at Kilmeade's face as Ducey's spitting hot fire here.
Assembling slates of so-called fake electors from swing states that the president had at that point lost, pressured state officials to block or delay Joe Biden's win, and of course, famously, on January 6th, tried to persuade the vice president not to certify the election results in the Electoral College. That's just some of the stuff that could be involved. Remember,
we know all that.
All we know.
Oh, yeah, we know all that. But some of that might be criminal. That's the point. That's the point, Brian. Yeah, we know it. It happened. It's undeniable, but it might be criminal. That's the point.
according to the source at ABC, there are 3 federal statutes. We don't know exactly the evidence. We just know that that is the case that has been levied against him in the past.
And Jack Smith loves to overcharge and fails spectacularly, like he did with Edwards and Senator Menendez.
I don't know if you caught it there, but Peter Doocy says, well, let's see. Or Steve Doocy, I'm sorry, Peter's his son. He goes, yeah, let's see. In other words, like, bruh, this might be a little different. Now, to be fair, that point from Kilmeade might actually be legitimate, right? The point is, apparently he went after John Edwards in the past, and he went after Bob Menendez. Now, look, if you ask me, in the court of public opinion, John Edwards, guilty. Bob Menendez, guilty, right? So I wish he was able to get him. Apparently, legally, there was enough wiggle room where it wasn't beyond a reasonable doubt, and he didn't get him. But so he might be right, like, maybe he's going to come up short with a bunch of the charges against Trump. That's absolutely possible. But as Mark Levin pointed out, okay, but there's like, at least 37 crimes. That's in one of the cases. There's more when you add up all the other cases. All you got to do is get him on one, bro. All you got to do is get him on. You're telling me they're not going to get him on any? See, that I find hard to believe. These guys don't like each other. Nothing has ever been more clear to me. They've also had, heated disagreements. I think over Russia and Ukraine, they debated a number of issues, and we've covered them on the channel over the past 2 or 3 years or so, but they clearly dislike each other. It's not like, like you watch one of those sports debate shows and you see like Stephen A. Smith arguing with somebody and you get the sense like, no, these guys actually like each other off air, but they're disagreeing on air and they make it entertaining or whatever. These guys, you can tell there's a seething underlying, like, you see it. You sense it. It's real. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.